Abrego Garcia has been coerced to accept a guilty plea or be deported to Uganda, according to his attorneys. Tyrone Bowman, live. According to ABC News, Abrego Garcia was released from criminal custody on this past Friday. The federal government is trying to force Abrego Garcia to accept a guilty plea or face deportation to Uganda, his attorneys claimed in a filing on Saturday. The Salvadorian man, who was wrongfully deported in March before being brought back to the United States to face human smuggling charges, was released from criminal custody in Tennessee and sent back to Maryland on Friday. After Abrego Garcia declined an offer to be deported to Costa Rica in exchange for remaining in jail and pleading guilty to the human smuggling charges, his attorneys say United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, informed them that he could be deported to Uganda and ordered him back to report to their office in Baltimore on Monday. The attorneys said the developments came after the government on Thursday said that if Abrego Garcia agreed to extend the stay and plead guilty to both counts of the indictment, the government would promise to deport Abrego Garcia to Costa Rica. ABC News first reported that the government of Costa Rica informed the U.S. Embassy on Thursday that the country would be willing to accept Abrego Garcia, quote, upon the conclusion of any criminal sentence he may serve in the U.S., end quote. But after Abrego Garcia refused to extend the stay and was released on Friday, Abrego Garcia's attorneys claimed the government, quote, responded to Mr. Abrego's release with outrage, end quote. Despite having requested and received assurances from the government of Costa Rica that Mr. Abrego would be accepted there, within minutes of his release from pretrial custody, an ICE representative informed Mr. Abrego's counsel that the government intended to deport Mr. Abrego to Uganda and ordered him to report to ICE's Baltimore field office Monday, his attorneys said. On Friday evening following Abrego Garcia release, his attorneys and DHS, or Department of Homeland Security, informed Abrego Garcia that he has until first thing Monday morning to accept the plea in exchange for deportation to Costa Rica, or else that offer will be off the table forever. There can be only one interpretation of these events. The DOJ, Department of Justice, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and ICE are using their collective powers to force Mr. Abrego to choose between a guilty plea followed by relative safety or rendition to Uganda, where his safety and liberty would be under threat, Abrego Garcia's attorney said in response to the filing. A Justice Department spokesperson said in a statement to ABC News, a federal grand jury has charged Abrego Garcia with serious federal crimes, including human trafficking and smuggling offenses, underscoring the clear danger this defendant presents to the community. The defendant can plead guilty and accept responsibility or stand trial before a jury. Either way, we will hold Abrego Garcia accountable and protect the American people. Just because someone has been accused of a crime, that does not make them guilty. That's just a mere accusation. And guilty pleas have been traditionally used by prosecutors in order to get a conviction. Basically, that's not a conviction. You know, they do it under threat, intimidation, coercement. It happens every day in the court of law. You know, I'm a criminal justice major, and I'm a law student. And I tell you from the things that I've studied and the things that I know, too many people right now are sitting in prison because they were ill-advised to accept guilty pleas by their attorneys. And after they accepted the guilty pleas, then they had remorse. I'll give an example. In the case of the late James Earl Ray, who supposedly was the alleged killer of the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who they say originally confessed to the killing, withdrew his guilty plea because he said his lawyers forced him to plead. So this case is not going to go away anytime soon. Either way, Mr. Garcia is not going to stay in America. The Department of Homeland Security did not immediately respond to ABC News. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has criticized Abrego Garcia's release on Friday, saying, "Today we reached a new low with this publicity-hungry Maryland judge mandating this illegal alien who is a MS-13 gang member, human trafficker, serial domestic abuser, and child predator be allowed free," quote, close quote. That's called a smear tactic. Happens every single day. People are smeared even before they go to trial. People are smeared even before they can accept a guilty plea. Now, when it's done to others in the same vein and in the same fashion, they don't like it. Why? Because they feel as though their due process rights are being violated. Pay attention to what's going on. So, Mr. Garcia's trial in his human smuggling case was set to begin on January 27, 2027. So, where do we stand? Is this a vindictive and selective prosecution? Well, let's dig further. His attorneys are moving to dismiss the criminal case against Mr. Abrego Garcia. So, Kilmar Abrego Garcia's attorneys accused federal prosecutors on Tuesday of vindictive and selective prosecution in a motion seeking to dismiss the criminal charges against him. Abrego Garcia could be released, in which he was, from the Tennessee criminal custody on this past Friday when U.S. Magistrate Judge Barbara Holmes's temporary stay is set to expire, which it did. And this comes after a separate judge ruled last month that Abrego Garcia must be returned to Maryland, which he has, if he is released. This is political football that is happening. In the 25-page filing, Abrego Garcia's attorneys urged that the government charge him, quote, because he refused to acquiesce in the government's violation of his due process rights, end quote. Kilmar Abrego Garcia has been singled out by the United States government. His attorney said the Salvadorian native was deported in March to El Salvador's Cite mega prison, despite a 2019 court order barring his deportation due to fear of persecution after the Trump administration claimed he was a member of the criminal gang MS-13, which Garcia denies. And he was brought back to the U.S. in May to face charges in Tennessee of allegedly transporting undocumented migrants. That was when the police stopped him in his car, and he had a car full of individuals. In the filing on Tuesday, the attorney said that Abrego Garcia was sent on his way without so much as a traffic ticket after the Tennessee Highway Patrol stopped their client in 2022. Yet 3 years later, unrelatedly, the government picked Mr. Abrego up off the street, along with others with similar immigration status, as part of a shock and awe immigration enforcement push, they said. After Abrego Garcia's wrongfully removal, the attorney said the government responded not with contrition or with any effort to fix its mistake, but with defiance, quote, close quote. A group of the most senior officials in the United States sought vengeance. They began a public campaign to punish Mr. Abrego Garcia for daring to fight back, culminating in a criminal investigation that led to the charges in this case, they said. And they've also said that Abrego Garcia's attorney said in their filing the government is using the criminal case to punish their client for successfully fighting his unlawful removal. That is a constitutional violation of the most basic sort. They said the indictment must be dismissed. Well, the indictment was not dismissed, and the deportation are going to take effect. They've given Mr. Garcia until Monday morning, to accept their plea offer, or else be deported to Uganda. Once again, I will keep you updated on this matter. Let me go to the comments. Devil's Advocate asked a question. Why would Uganda in Costa Rica want such a character if he is that bad? Good question. Good question. All right, y'all. Never surrender. Never quit.